On the subject of free will, I'm not going to hit you with a whole bunch of guru stuff today. Instead, I'm going to ask you some questions that always rattle around in my brain. And I find them very thought-provoking for myself. This concept of free will, since 2020 and 2019 and all the things that went down, there's been a lot of discussion in cultures all around the world about this concept of personal freedom, right? Freedom to do this, freedom to do that, etc. And I'm for freedom. I'm for individual liberty and for individual freedom, for individual efficacy. However, I gotta ask the question. A lot of the people that I see talking about freedom, enrage about freedom, where's your freedom to stop being 100 pounds overweight and have your belly hanging out of your knees? Where's your freedom in exercising choice to stop bad habits? Where is your freedom that you have to improve the lot of your life, your family's life, and your lineage's life? You know, where's your personal freedom to stop abusing pharmaceuticals, drugs, alcohol? Where's your exercise and personal freedom to elevate your life, pursue the path of personal development, of self-improvement? It is amazing to me how many people rage about personal freedom and liberty and freedom in the public forum, yet upon inspection of their person and personal life, just through perusing the internet, you're left with a question mark of, what the fuck are you doing with this personal freedom that you're raging about? Because most people are doing next to nothing. And then it goes even deeper for me. Like, for example, and this is actually a question that was the proverbial yarn, I guess, whatever the word is, in the sweater, right? It was the yarn, it was the loose yarn in the proverbial sweater for me, that as I kept pulling on it, it just kept unraveling and unraveling and unraveling. Of when I was about 17, 18 years old, and I was born into a Christian family, Western Judeo-Christian, and I was a churchgoer for most of my early life because my family was. But I had this question. If I had been born in Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, I would probably by default be a Muslim. I would have been raised a Muslim, not raised a Christian. So, and then my perspective of Christianity and America would have been through the imprinting and the lens of my community, my immediate community, my family, and then my larger community, right? Friends, neighbors, my parents' friends and neighbors, school, my friends, etc. That my perspective of America and Christianity would be, let's just say, radically different than what it was when I was growing up. You see what I'm saying? Like, by default, it would have been different because I wouldn't have known anything different, and that would have been the imprinting from my survival mechanism, my parents, my family, for food, water, safety, shelter. So, knowing my personality type and my characteristics and natural instincts, it would not be a stretch to imagine that were I right now living in Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan at this age today, that I would probably be out there with an AK-47 trying to shoot American soldiers. So then the question that I form in my mind is, so where's the free will? Right? Because growing up, for me, having immigrated to America when I was 3 years old from Ukraine, growing up bilingual, bicultural, as a Christian in America, my perspective of Muslims and Islam and people living in Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan, those places, was obviously imprinted through the lens of my community, immediate and larger community. Where it's fucking impossible to have free will in that situation, because your survival is dependent upon, you're helplessly dependent upon your survival upon your immediate family, parents, and community belonging to the tribe, evolutionary psychology, all that stuff, right? I'm dependent upon that. So I'm going to think the way they think so I can fit into my tribe. But me, parallel universe over in Iraq, is going to think the way he thinks and see me in America the way he sees me. So then when I think about that, I ask myself, looking at a easily caricaturized example like that we can draw very clear distinctions between for the purposes of analysis, asking ourselves questions and so forth, looking at an example like that, where in less obvious ways am I operating under the illusion of free will, but so far from it? And then where are we collectively, where are we all individually as billions of people and collectively as billions of people, where are we operating under the illusion of free will, but we are far, far from it? Right? Like, you look at the implications of dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, cortisol, endorphins, and just our addictions to those things as a human body, right? How much of our free will is actually not free will and completely run by the next hit for dopamine, serotonin, endorphins, whatever it is? How much of our behavior is just simply driven as intrachemical drug addicts, right? Not external drugs, not with an addiction for external drugs, exogenous drugs and the impact that they can make on our body, changing our state, giving us vibes and feelings, but just intrachemicals, intra-drugs, the chemicals that I've mentioned, those are all addicting. They really are, right? That's what drives compulsive, obsessive compulsive behavior with things like social media, extreme social media, just constantly browsing social media, pornography, sugar, just the list goes on of things that we're obsessively compulsive about or addicted to. That's all intrachemical stuff. If it didn't feel good, you wouldn't fucking do it. Well, I mean, heroin, things like that, but I'm not going to get down that. But initially it feels good, and then it's bad, but then it's still addicting. Where's the fucking free will in that, right? So that's all. I don't have any answers that I want to give right now in this video. Instead, I'd rather just open a can of worms, or I would like to inflict the same loose thread in the proverbial sweater on you that was inflicted upon me by the universe when I was 17, 18 years old. And just if you're watching this video and you watch this far, to ask yourself the question, do I really have free will? Like, am I truly free to make up my mind about things? Am I truly free to make up my mind about how I see the world? Am I free? Have I truly made up my mind the way I want to make up my mind? Or am I making up my mind because of my immediate family, my extended community, my tribe, my culture, my subcultures that I'm in, based upon interests, hobbies, ideologies, philosophy, persuasion, interest, kink, fantasy, experience, right? Do I really have free will? Or am I a drug addict, a highly functioning drug addict who, unlike maybe the street bum that I judge for being a strung out meth head,